It's the story of the first fire. In the beginning there was no fire, and the world was cold until the thunders, who lived up in Galunlati, sent their lightning and put fire into the bottom of a hollow sycamore tree which they grew on an island. The animals knew it was there because they could see the smoke coming out at the top, but they could not get to it on account of the water, so they held council to decide what to do. This was a long time ago. Every animal that could fly or swim was anxious to go after the fire. The raven offered, and because he was so large and strong, they thought he could surely do the work. So he was sent first. He flew high and far across the water and alighted on the sycamore tree. But while he was wondering what to do next, the heat had scorched all his feathers black, and he was frightened and came back without the fire. The little screech owl, Wahoo-hoo, volunteered to go and reach the place safely. But while he was looking down into the hollow tree, a blast of hot air came up and nearly burned out his eyes. He managed to fly home as best as he could, but it was a long time before he could see well, and his eyes are red to this day. Then the hooting owl, Guku, and the horned owl, Sikili, went, but by the time they got to the hollow, the tree fire was burning so fiercely that the smoke nearly blinded them, and the ashes carried up by the wind made white rings around their eyes. They had come home again without the fire, but with all their rubbing they were never able to get rid of the white rings. Now no more of the birds would venture, and so the little Uksuhi snake, the black racer, said he would go through the water and bring back some fire. He swam across the island and crawled through the grass to the tree and went in by a small hole at the bottom. The heat and smoke were too much for him too, and after dodging out blindly over the hot ashes until he was almost on fire himself, he managed by good luck to get out again at the same hole, but his body had been scorched black, and he has ever since had the habit of darting and doubling on his track as if trying to escape from close quarters. He came back, and the great black snake, Guleki, the climber, offered to go for fire. He swam over to the island and climbed up the tree on the outside, as the black snake always does, but when he put his head down into the hole, the smoke choked him so that he fell into the burning stump, and before he could climb out again, he was as black as Uksuhi. Now they held another council, for there was still no fire and the world was cold. But birds, snakes, and four-footed animals had all some excuse for not going because they were all afraid to venture near the burning sycamore. Until at last Kananetski Amayehi, the water spider, said she would go. This is not the water spider that looks like a mosquito, but rather one with black downy hair and red stripes on her body. She can run on top of the water or dive to the bottom, so there would be no trouble to get over to the island, but the question was, how could she bring back the fire? "I'll manage that," she said. So she spun a thread from her body and wove it into a tootsie bowl, which she had fastened on her back. Then she crossed over to the island and through the grass where the fire was still burning. She put one little coal of fire into her bowl and came back with it. And ever since we had fire, and the water spider still keeps her Tootsie Bowl.